Good morning, everybody. Patrick Johnston here at GoDominicanLife.com, LasTerrenasLife.com, your real estate company here in the Dominican Republic. I'm the managing broker of the organization, team leader, and we're here today to talk about top reasons why you should consider living abroad. Number one, the weather. You see, here in the Dominican Republic, we have between 7 and 8.5 hours of sunshine every single day. The weather is consistent between 72 degrees in the low to generally around 84 degrees on a year-round basis. The ocean in my background is constantly between 78 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And for people like me that require lots of sunshine in their life, literally every day is sunshine. When you compare that to any place in North America, especially as you go further north, the sunshine becomes less, it becomes less direct, it becomes more gray and cloudy, and for people that need sun in their life, this is the place to be. The number two reason to live abroad is cost of living. Literally, when you compare your life to North America, US or Canada, or even in UK and Europe, you will find that overall, the cost of you operating your life abroad is roughly 1/3 of it being what it was in your home country. And that takes into effect a number of things. Number one, real estate. Real estate is 1/3 less than what you have in Canada or the United States. You compare any major city and you look at any condominium or single family house and think of the average is anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million, you can find the equivalent for 1/3 less here. Number two, all the normal daily activities of life. Anything from getting around town, your commuting time, organization, activities, excursions, etc. All of that adds up to being a lot when you take into effect parking, transportation, commuting, etc. You don't have that stuff here. So that is way less than 1/3. And number three, if you need help in your life, and if you're a senior, then you need help with cleaning, the pool or gardening expenses, you need to have a massage every day because you've had an accident or something happened in your life that you need that. All of that stuff is domestic help is literally 10 to 15% of the cost that you would have for any service in your North American lifestyle. So cost of living is a huge savings by living abroad. Point number three is very obvious, but I'm going to state the obvious. Freshness. Look, when you live in a tropical country, as we are living abroad, you can grow things 365 days a year. Fruits, vegetables, domestic fruits. Chicken is really chicken, pork is really pork, beef is really beef. They're walking around one day, they're not walking around the next day, they're on your plate or in your fridge. These are the kind of things that you cannot do in North America seasonally. You have those aspects 2 or 3 months a year, the rest is imported from abroad to your life. So here you have the less cost of it because it's local, and number two is that it's all fresh. The next point is mindset. Look, when you are in the sun 365 days a year, you hear the sound of the ocean in the background, you don't have a commuting time, you become less stressed, more balanced, more attentive to your state of mind, and more importantly than all of it, you leave the rat race of North America behind. So you can concentrate more on the activities that you would like to do and completely outsource the activities that you do not want to do. And those things are anything from housekeeping to gardening, kitchen preparation, the dishes, you name it. But that becomes mindset because you have freedom when you are living abroad in a low-cost country. Now, the next point is access to the world. Look, many people don't realize this, but when I live on an island and I live abroad, so the typical thought will be I'm on an island, I have very little places to go, and my accessibility is difficult, which is simply not true. Here in the Dominican Republic, it is the most accessible point in Latin America to the world. From the Dominican Republic, we have Punta Cana Airport, Santo Domingo Airport, Santiago Airport, El Cate Airport here in Samaná, Puerto Plata on the north coast, 5 major international airports serving 30 plus countries around the world. And here's the bizarre part. This little small part of the world in El Cate or Samaná near Las Terrenas, where we are right now, there's a nonstop flight every week from Moscow. How does that make sense? So, because there's 30 destinations around the world and 5 airports to service you, you can hit all your points that you want to be in a very simple, straight form, book it online and go. It's just changing your mindset to be, this is your home base, rather than North America as your home base. You can still go back and forth, but having the ability for accessibility is very important, and you can do that by living abroad. The next point is tax savings. Look, all of us are used to a very high taxable rate. If you're from Canada like I am, the top income tax is literally 54% of your income. That means from January till June, you are working for the government. So by living abroad and declaring yourself to be living abroad, you never give up your residence. You never give up your citizenship. You may put residency here in the Dominican Republic and still maintain your Canadian citizenship. But let me tell you about the benefits to that. Lower corporate tax. Corporate tax in this country is at the maximum of 27%. Compare that to any North American mindset, okay? Number 2, personal income taxes for money that you earn from abroad, from any source, is tax-free. So if you have an existing annuity, you have an existing RSP income, you have rental property from abroad, you have any sort of income that's not generated on Dominican soil, tax-free. That's a huge thing. Number 3, property taxes. There are many government incentive plans to avoid property tax altogether, but if you're not part of any government organized program, which we'll talk about on a later video, you will simply understand this. The first $150,000 of US dollar tax value, so your tax assessment value on a property, the first $150,000 is zero tax. Beyond that, for $150,001 and beyond, it's 1% based on the tax value of the property. So that's a big savings there alone. So you have corporate tax, personal tax, property tax, and of course, we can't avoid this because this is a revenue source for the country here in the Dominican Republic. There is a sales tax, but sales tax really applies not in every situation. All your major stores, so whether it's a grocery store or let's call it malls in the bigger cities, etc., they always have put the 18% tax on. Unofficially, throughout the country, in the countrysides, in the smaller towns and villages, nobody charges the 18% tax. So that alone, because it's not universal, is a savings that adds up dramatically in a year. If you think about how much you spend in your household every month in your current home, $3,000, $4,000 for all those activities at 15 to 18% in your home country, that it literally goes away for the most part. So tax savings, another reason why you should live abroad. The next point, I think it's pretty obvious, but it is vacation savings. Look, when you live abroad in a warm climate in a low-cost country such as the Dominican Republic, you have the ability to be constantly on vacation. So your vacation, if you're, say, working online, your vacation starts at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, every day. So you have to remember that when you are living in North America, typically every year, the average Canadian, if I use that as an example, because it's a statistic online, spends between $2,400 to $2,700 Canadian annually on some form of vacation, airfare, accommodation, and food and beverage abroad. So if you're a couple, that's a north of a $5,000 saving. So what I do, when you're living in a tropical environment, such as right now here, I live in Las Terrenas, I still take vacations. I just go to other parts of this country and I enjoy myself. So I eliminate a large portion of my expenses. I don't have an airfare. I don't have a heavy food and beverage cost. I don't waste any time to get there on airports. I don't have to do PCR tests back and forth. I'm already here. I'm in the environment that I want to live. So vacation savings annually is a huge benefit. Here's another point that is very important to think about. It is to get to know yourself better. Look, I found personally, I've lived abroad now for 7 years, since 2015, and when I disconnected my 1.0 life and entered my 2.0 life, I learned a ton of things about myself. I learned to be more adaptable. I learned how to literally avoid the daily media like this in your face from the North American life. I realized because my Spanish is limited, I don't have to listen to any media if I really don't want to, but I can plug in and plug out of it. I became much more independent. I became more calm in my demeanor and my overall way of thinking. And most importantly, you become adaptable. You realize that skills are transferable, your life is transferable, your contacts are transferable, and you meet more like-minded people when you are at calmness, relaxed, and at peace. So getting to know yourself by living abroad is a huge benefit, and I suggest you try that. Here's another one. I talked about it briefly in the last point, but I'm going to go into more depth on it now. And that is, skills are transferable. Okay, so give you my example. For 25 years in Canada, I was in the real estate and related businesses between mortgage, property development, construction, and real estate sales. Real estate sales being what I did the longest, but all of that was inclusive. All of those skills in my life are transferable to here. And in fact, most of those skills aren't refined by many other people in this country. So therefore, I can excel greater in this environment than I can in a very hyper-competitive market in North America. So what also applies, especially in the last 2 years with everything that has happened, most skills have went from being in a cubicle environment to being now working from home or a home office environment. And therefore, if you want to choose your home, if you're forced to be at home to do your skill, then you can choose where your home is. And that's very valid. It's very well thought through. And you can still take advantage of that in today's world. So skills, start a business abroad, but you don't necessarily mean that your business has to be abroad. It can be online. Anything from drop shipping to consulting to engineering to architecture to everything you can think about servicing people in your home country, but you can do that by being here. So skills are transferable, and you can take those skills with you to anywhere you go. So don't feel alone in the environment when you're in something new. Just plug back into the revenue environment of your past life, and in your 2.0 life, you just live your better life every day. Now the final point, point number 10, is to think about this. Earn US money and live your life in pesos. It's a huge thing. It took me a few years to think about and understand. The first business I started here in this country was a peso to peso business. And I realized after getting in that environment of like this and being subjective to all local conditions wasn't going to service the life that I was used to. So I had to really adjust my mindset and say, what am I going to do to earn in US dollars and live my life in pesos? So let's do a little comparison. The Canadian or North American lifestyle, at least for me in Canada, my income tax was always approaching on personal income at around 54% at the highest tax rate. So that's where I was. Even after shelters and RSPs, et cetera, I was always at that high tax bracket. So that is something that you have to adjust when you get here. is to realize that you don't have to spend that much in personal income tax going forward. The other thing to think about is the cost of living in North America is going like this. Why? Because all of the import fees, all the transportation fees, the cost of fuel oil for all those transportation things that are imported to North America, supply chain issues, etc., all add up, and it's called inflation. And it's hit us as Canadians or Americans quite strongly. I mean, I think last month alone, there was just about a 5% inflation rate in the month in Canada. Think of that. That's incredibly expensive for people that are on a fixed salary or fixed income. The other point I want to talk to you about that is real estate values in North America. Real estate values right now are at literally an all-time high. Like the average price of a home for an average home, which is not above average, it's average, is literally all between $500,000 and $600,000 in Canada. So first-time home buyers, people wanting to move up, you know, you're talking about a ton of cash, and interest rates essentially are also at the lowest point they've ever been. However, you're taking that stress of debt and debt and debt on your shoulders, expecting low interest rates to continue forever, which they're not going to. That is impossible to happen in the environment that is having inflation like this. The governments will have to control inflation by raising interest rates to slow the market down, which will cap off real estate, etc. So, to earn your money in American dollars and live in pesos may be for you to sell your property in Canada. Take that money and reinvest it in a lower cost lifestyle with real estate 1/3 of the value that you're used to, but having the same quality and size that you're used to, and start your life again. Imagine if you had that chunk of change in the bank, purely making between a 3 and 6% return on your investment every year, and living debt-free. Earn your money in US dollars and live in pesos. Now, as we wrap up this video, there's a whole bunch of things, 10 of which I feel are the most beneficial reasons to live abroad. But everyone's independent, everyone has their own thinking, but I'm telling you, for me, this is my experience. So, my WhatsApp number is right here below. It's 829-525-1782. You can always text me live. I'm always available between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. Monday to Saturday. I am not available on Sunday, but I will return your messages. Make sure you go on this channel and like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a suggestion for a video you want us to search for. And remember, I'm Patrick Johnston. Go DominicanLife.com, real estate here in the Dominican Republic. See you again soon. Bye for now.